Ooh, look at these gorgeous feet. Hello everyone, hope you're all doing really well. So today's video is all about Nilou and we're going to discuss her rerun, but before we get into that and the combat side, let's appreciate this beautiful new skin that they released for the character. I love it. It's absolutely gorgeous and I think it's one of the better or perhaps even the best skin that they've released so far for a character in the game. It fits the character, it fits the flower motifs, and if there's just one thing I have to criticize about it, is not the skin itself but Nilou's weapon, which Hoyo absolutely missed the mark on. So if you take the key, it just doesn't fit with the outfit, which is just so sad. I mean, Hoyo could have really released a complementary weapon skin. I mean, come on, they could have done it. It's just a bit of a lack of ambition on their side. But regardless, the goddess of flowers here looks beautiful. There are different ways we can take photos with her. She's a beautiful and photogenic character. So this to me is a massive win, since I'm obviously a massive Nilou fan. So talking a bit about the combat and Nilou's rerun, you probably would have noticed that a lot of content creators are speaking positively about Nilou. You probably would have noticed that a lot of content creators are speaking unit, which at the time was kind of bizarre because it's not the unit herself that's niche, because if you think about it, she enables the entirety of all the current Hydro and Dendro characters, as well as any potential future releases of Hydro and Dendro characters. For me, that is not niche because of the vast amounts of different characters that you compare with Nilou. So for example, in AoE environments you could use Kokomi. In single target environments, you could use Yelon, or perhaps like some Farina variants, you can use Alhaitham. Baiju, you could use Yaya with C6 Candace, which really, apart from recently with Alakino, didn't really find a home, and the list just goes on. This is what's so amazing about Nilou. The amount of different viable teams and characters that you can play with her, in my opinion, doesn't make her niche, because niche means she's only useful with a select bunch of characters. I think what's more accurate to say is that the Dendro core playstyle, it can have certain disadvantages depending on the enemy, and funnily enough, it's not when you have a high Dendro enemy, it's actually when you have Cryo enemies, because Dendro and Cryo really don't mix well together, and we saw that in one of the Abyss chambers. So that is where you get the true disadvantage with the Nilou teams, but other than that, the sheer amount that she enables is crazy, and she does it, especially for free-to-play players, at no cost of leveling up any of her talents. You can keep her at talent level 111. This is something we pointed out initially. So she's incredibly efficient in that regard. You just need to farm for HP, like main stats and like substats and stuff with EM substats. And that's, even in and of itself, is not a big ask for Nilou. So from an F2P perspective, she really hits like the nail on the head. She transforms damage in the game with a unique reaction, which is the type of thinking that I would really want for you to do in the future. Let's say a unique Cryo and Geo reaction could be quite fun and ultimately promotes different and varied playstyles. And this is what I really like about Nilou, because the combat focus here is about how well you can manage the elemental reactions and the auras on the enemy in order to get your damage, as opposed to just stacking as many multiples in the Genshin impact damage equation. It's the style of play that is really unique for me, and as I've pointed out many times on the channel, what I like about Nilou is that she's effectively the team's tank, and with the combination of her, like one of her meta teams with Kokomi, you have a very fun cycle where the elemental skill abilities are just as useful as the elemental burst abilities in bringing about all of these different reactions, which just makes it so much fun. So if you've got lots of enemies and you're suffering because of the Dendro core damage, you can just alternate and cycle through the burst in order to iframe that, whilst also then periodically being healed by Kokomi. The synergy is just beautiful, and also Kole herself gains like a massive purpose in Nilou teams because of how good her Dendro application is. You'll have people like some of the Fury crafters tell you about her special ICD and all that nonsense, but that's not ever the point of Kole. It's all about ensuring that you've got a stability of a Dendro aura and having Nilou and Kokomi balance out the Hydro reaction in order to deal enough damage. And that is exciting. It's different. It's a different way of engaging with the elemental reaction system, and ultimately that's why you want Nilou. You don't want her just for her insane AoE power. It's just about understanding and playing the game in a different way. And for me, that is ultimately why I would argue you should get Nilou. It's because of the fact that you get something completely different, a new playstyle, which makes her such a solid Hydra unit. But yeah, that is my summary of Nilou and her skin. Hopefully you guys, if you don't have her, can get her. If you already have Nilou, hope you get the skin. And that's it from my side. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers!